Okay, so we all kind of get cause and effect, right? Press a switch, the lights turn on.
Yeah, basic stuff.
Offer a genuine compliment, you see that little spark, that warmth. But there's this bigger universal law underneath it all, karma.
hmm The idea that everything, every action, thought, word, even your intention sends out ripples. And those ripples, well, they eventually come back.
Well,
Inescapably.
exactly. But, often we think of karma as just like a cosmic score sheet. Good deeds here, bad deeds there.
It's simplistic. It misses the depth, the real mechanics of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So our mission today, our deep dive, is to go beyond simple karma. We want to explore this intricate web, focus on intention, sure, but also vibration and this profound idea of interconnectedness.
And maybe help figure out if you're just, being moved around by things, or if you can actually be the one doing the moving, a conscious mover.
Love that. So where do we start? Well, Western philosophy actually gives us a great entry point, this long-running debate.
Ah, yes. What really counts morally? Is it why you did something, your intention? Or is it what happened because of it, the outcome?
That's our first big stop. You've got deontology, think Immanuel Kant. For him, it's all about the intention, the duty, having a good will, consequences, less important.
The classic example they always use is the murderer at the door, right? Your friend's hiding inside. The murderer asks if they're there.
Yeah, and Kant says, well, you have a duty not to lie. Lying can't be a universal rule, even if telling the truth leads to a terrible outcome. The principle matters most.
It's strict.
Very. Then you flip it. You get consequentialism, like utilitarianism, John Stuart Mill and others. Here, it's only the outcome that matters.
The goal is always the greatest good for the greatest number. So the ends can justify the means.
Like that tough ethical dilemma, the organ transplant one. Sacrifice one healthy person to save 5 who need organs.
A pure utilitarian might argue. Yes, because the overall result is better. Maximizes well-being even if the action itself feels wrong. Intention takes a back seat.
So Western thought often sets these up as like opposites. Either.
But what's really fascinating is how Eastern philosophy, especially Buddhism, brings them together. Karma isn't just the act. The intention behind it, the satana, is what gives the act its karmic weight, its quality.
So intention directly shapes the future effect. They're not separate things at all.
Exactly. A selfless intention. Positive karmic result down the line. A selfish or harmful one. Negative result. Even if the action looks the same on the surface, the why changes everything. It's actively shaping your future reality.
That's a powerful way to look at it. Okay, so if individual intentions shape individual futures, what about groups, whole communities?
That leads us straight into collective karma. The idea that shared intentions, shared actions, they create a kind of shared reality or destiny for a group.
Interesting. Can we see that historically?
Well, some interpretations look at, say, the fall of the Western Roman Empire. You can see it perhaps as negative collective karma coming due. Widespread corruption, huge economic gaps. Leaders focused only on themselves.
A kind of societal imbalance driven by collective greed, maybe.
Possibly. And contrast that with something like the American Civil Rights Movement, a powerful example of positive collective karma.
How so?
You had this incredibly strong, unified intention focused on justice, equality, using nonviolent means. That shared purpose, that collective, you could almost say vibration. It generated immense power for change. It shows how shared values can create shared outcomes.
Okay, so intentions ripple out individually and collectively, but through what? What's the medium here? How does it all connect?
The connection question. It seems both ancient wisdom and increasingly modern science are pointing to the same answer. Fundamentally, everything is connected.
Like the Wood Wide Web.
Exactly. Those hidden fungal networks connecting trees, sharing nutrients, sending warnings. It's a perfect physical metaphor for this deeper, universal interconnectedness.
And science is catching up.
In a way, think quantum entanglement, Einstein's spooky action at a distance. Linked particles influencing each other instantly, no matter how far apart. Or systems theory, looking at how parts of a whole interact, creating something bigger than the sum of its parts. Feedback loops, interrelations, it all points away from separateness.
Wow, so ancient concepts like Stoic Sympathia, the Tao, the Hindu Atman Brahman, they were onto this fundamental unity all along.
Seems so. Seeing separation as, like Eckhart Tolle puts it, an optical delusion of consciousness.
Okay, if we're all connected in this vast web, how do we navigate it better? How do we work with these principles?
Well, the Hermetic tradition offers some powerful keys. 3 big ones: vibration, rhythm, and polarity.
Let's break those down. Vibration.
Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Simple but profound. From Pythagoras talking about the music of the spheres to Tesla focusing on energy and frequency, even modern string theory suggests everything is vibrating strings.
And for us personally.
Think about emotions. Our hearts actually generate electromagnetic fields. Positive emotions create smoother, more coherent patterns in those fields. So cultivating higher personal vibrations, positivity, compassion, might literally attract similar energies. Like attracts like. Makes sense. Okay, next key. Rhythm.
Everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. Look around life cycles, seasons, economic booms and busts. It's everywhere.
Like trying to constantly push without rest.
Exactly. Our sources mentioned modern tech founder burnout as a prime example. Trying to force constant growth, denying the natural need for ebb and flow, for rest and recharge. You fight the rhythm, you eventually break. Working with it is smarter.
Got it. And the third key, polarity.
Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Think hot and cold, just degrees of temperature, right? Or light and dark.
The yin and yang symbol captures that, doesn't it? The dance of opposites. Perfectly. Carl Jung talked about integrating our shadow self, the parts we deny. It's about embracing the whole spectrum. And look at Nelson Mandela, an incredible example.
How so?
He faced the absolute negative pole, decades of brutal imprisonment, hate directed at him. But he didn't just endure it, he transmuted it. He turned that energy into a force for peace, reconciliation, the positive pole. He showed that courage and fear, hate and love, they're two ends of the same stick. You can choose which end to hold on to.
Wow. Okay, these are big concepts. How do we bring this down to earth? Practical tools.
Absolutely. Cognitive reframing from CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is basically applied polarity. You learn to catch a negative thought, check its reality, and consciously change it to a more balanced perspective. It's mental alchemy.
Catch it, check it, change it, like that.
And another powerful one is from Stoicism, Epictetus's dichotomy of control. Learning to clearly distinguish what's actually in your control. Your judgments, your intentions, your responses, your actions, from what's not in your control, which is basically everything else.
Yeah.
External events, other people's actions, outcomes.
So stop worrying about the stuff you can't change.
Exactly. Focus your energy entirely on your causes, your intentions and actions. When you do that, you stop being just an effect tossed around by circumstance. You reclaim your agency.
It all seems to circle back to that inner choice, doesn't it? Which reminds me of Viktor Frankl.
Ah, yes. His story is maybe the ultimate synthesis of all these ideas. A psychiatrist, a Holocaust survivor.
In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he describes the most horrific conditions, the absolute worst outcomes imaginable. Yet he found that the one thing they could never take away
Was his inner freedom, his ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. He chose his intention, his inner state, regardless of the external horror.
He found connection even in isolation, meaning in suffering. He literally applied polarity, turning that immense negative into purpose.
He refused to be just an effect. He insisted on being a cause, at least of his own inner world. It's an incredibly powerful testament to these principles in action.
So wrapping this up then, the law of cause and effect, karma, it's clearly not just some simple tally sheet in the sky.
Not at all. It's more like a fundamental operating principle of this intelligent, interconnected, vibrant universe we're part of. A universe that responds to our intentions, flows in rhythms, and works through these poles of opposites.
And understanding these keys, vibration, rhythm, polarity, the power of intention, the reality of interconnectedness.
That understanding gives you the tools. It allows you to shift from being a passive effect of the world around you
To becoming a conscious cause, choosing your thoughts, aligning with the flow, transmuting the negative.
And when you do that, you're not just subject to the law anymore.
Yeah.
In a way, you become the law in action. You start consciously co-creating your reality.